The Galactic Council chamber was never meant to echo with silence, but tonight it did. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in their shimmering exosuits, armored carapaces, or flowing bio-organic forms, their eyes fixed on the enormous display suspended in the center of the dome. The holographic image showed a star system in flames, worlds reduced to molten fragments, and ships, thousands of them, torn apart as though their shields had been no more than thin paper. It was the third system in less than a month. The same impossible assailant had cut through fleets and defenses without slowing, leaving nothing but wreckage and silence behind. The galaxy had faced wars, plagues, and civil strife, but never this. The voice of the chair being trembled as it addressed the assembly. "We have lost Very Prime, along with 3 billion lives. This thing does not negotiate, does not communicate, does not retreat. It advances. All projections place its trajectory toward our core. Alliance worlds within 3 cycles. We must accept the inevitable." Murmurs rippled through the delegates, tones of despair rising. Some curled into themselves, others wailed in subsonic cries. A few shouted angrily, demanding retreat to isolated sectors. None proposed fighting back. From the human section of the chamber, Captain Aric Vale rose. He wasn't supposed to speak. Earth was a junior member of the Alliance, barely tolerated, often mocked for its backwardness. Most species saw humanity as loud, reckless, and fragile, with a knack for surviving scrapes by luck rather than brilliance. But Aric didn't care. He stepped into the central light, his uniform crisp, his expression hard. "You're all ready to give up," he said flatly, his voice cutting through the hum. 3 systems fall, and suddenly the rest of you think the war is already lost. But what you don't realize is that this is exactly when humans fight the hardest. Laughter erupted from one side of the chamber. A scaled officer of the Dravari clicked his claws. "Your ships are weak, your fleets are barely out of infancy. What could you possibly bring against that monster?" Aric's jaw tightened. He thought of his crew waiting aboard the Resolute, a heavy human warship retrofitted with alien tech, but designed with Earth's own stubborn philosophy. Fight dirty, strike hard, adapt fast. "We don't plan to meet it head, unlike you did," he said. "You sent your fleets in neat formations, predictable, shining targets. You wanted to fight honorably. We don't fight that way. We fight to win." A hush spread. For the first time, a flicker of curiosity appeared among the council members. Aric didn't give them time to laugh again. "Scan our ship. Look at what we've built. And if you think humanity has nothing to offer, you're welcome to stay here and wait for your doom. But my crew and we're going hunting." Council dismissed him with waves of disbelief, but already requests were coming into the chamber's data feeds. Alien analysts sent pulses of energy scanning the Resolute. Their amusement soured into unease. The scans revealed hull plating layered in unorthodox composites, parts of which looked cobbled together from salvaged wreckage. Power signatures fluctuated unpredictably, impossible to chart. Weapon arrays carried redundancies stacked 3 layers deep, with strange angular modifications no other race used. But it was the internal heat maps that caused the silence. Where other ships ran steady and efficient, the human warship seethed with wild spikes of energy, systems overclocked, engines modified beyond regulation. It was reckless, dangerous, insane, but it meant the Resolute could do things no other ship could. One alien analyst whispered what many were thinking. It should not even fly, and yet it does. A cold chill ran through the chamber. The image of the human ship lingered in their minds, not elegant, not pristine, but like a predator crouched, ready to leap. Back aboard the Resolute, Aric walked the corridors, his boots ringing against steel. His crew was already preparing. Lieutenant Kyra, the tactical officer, a Martian, born human with sharp eyes, greeted him at the bridge. "So they laughed at us again? Not for long," Aric replied, sliding into his chair. "We're going to show them what humans do when the universe tries to write us off." On the forward screen, deep space stretched endless and cold. Somewhere out there, the thing was coming. No one knew what it was, only that it devoured everything in its path. But Aric Vale's voice was steady as he gave the order. "Set a course, let's find the bastard." And for the first time since the destruction began, the galaxy had something it hadn't dared hope for: resistance. The Resolute cut through the black like a hunting blade. Its drives burned with an uneven rhythm, a deliberate signature that made it hard to predict, masking its true acceleration curve. Most species would never design a ship like this. It was unstable, jittery, and prone to violent course corrections. For humans, it was perfect. On the bridge, every console hummed with activity. Lieutenant Kyra monitored tactical feeds, her fingers dancing across displays with fluid efficiency. Engineering reports scrolled on the side screen. Chief Engineer Darius, a broad-shouldered belter who'd grown up in the vacuum mines of the outer system, was already shouting into comms about overworked reactors. "She's holding, but barely." Darius growled through the static. "You keep pushing her like this, Captain, and she'll tear herself apart." Aric leaned forward in his chair, eyes fixed on the looming streak of distortion ahead. "Then patch her back together before she does. We're not here to cruise. We're here to catch the nightmare that's been eating our neighbors." Every crew member stiffened at that. The nightmare, whatever it was, had become a word no one wanted to utter aloud. Scans called it an anomaly, others a devourer. All anyone knew for certain was that it didn't stop. Entire planetary defense grids had burned to ash before it. Theories ranged from a rogue AI to a weapon left over from some forgotten war. None had been confirmed. Ensign Juno, youngest on the crew, piped up nervously from the sensor's console. "Captain, I think I've got something. Energy distortions, 2 million clicks ahead. It's not natural." "Put it on screen." The forward display shifted, space bending into view. At first it seemed like nothing more than a ripple in the void, a faint distortion. But then it swelled, lines of light bending unnaturally around an immense shadow. It wasn't shaped like a ship. It wasn't shaped like anything designed. It was wrong. The crew stared in silence. Darius muttered, "That thing looks like it was born from a reactor meltdown and a nightmare had a child." It was massive, larger than any dreadnought, its form shifting as if it was only half solid. Jagged appendages flexed in and out of reality, like claws slipping through dimensions. Where it passed, stars dimmed, their light bent away. Kyra whispered, "No wonder the other fleets didn't stand a chance." The anomaly didn't react to them yet. It moved with slow inevitability toward a nearby system, where 3 colonies lay in its path. Aric clenched his fists. "That's our bait?" The crew turned to him. Kyra frowned. "You can't be serious." "Oh, I'm serious," Aric said. "We're not going to meet it head on. We're going to annoy it, get its attention, drag it away from those colonies, make it chase us. That's suicide," Juno blurted. Aric's grin was sharp, cold. "Not if we're faster, smarter, and just insane enough." The bridge fell silent again. They all knew the risks, but humans had long ago learned that sometimes survival meant being the distraction. Kyra finally exhaled. "All right, Captain. How do you plan to piss off the biggest monster the galaxy's ever seen?" "By showing it something it's never dealt with before," Aric replied. Unpredictability. Moments later, the Resolute's weapon arrays unfolded. Human-designed railguns, enhanced with alien superconductors, crackled with energy. Missile bays primed unconventional payloads, cluster bombs, shrapnel charges, experimental warheads that had been banned by most civilized races. Fire spread across its path, Aric ordered. Kyra smirked and tapped the firing sequence. With pleasure, the silence of space erupted in sudden violence. Projectiles streaked toward the anomaly, detonating in patterns that created shifting fields of interference. The void around the creature boiled with energy bursts. At first, nothing. Then, the creature shifted. It turned slowly, impossibly, toward the source of irritation. The display shook with distortions as its jagged limbs flexed, eyes, or what resembled eyes, glowing faintly across its surface. It had noticed them. On the bridge, the crew's hearts pounded in unison. Aric's voice was steady. Good. Now we run. The Resolute's engines roared, the ship tearing across space with reckless thrust. Behind them, the anomaly surged into pursuit, its vast form shredding the void, faster than it had any right to be. Darius shouted from engineering, "Captain, we're burning the cores hotter than regulation allows again." "Then it's a good thing we don't believe in regulations," Aric shot back. For the first time since the anomaly appeared, it wasn't moving toward helpless colonies. It was chasing prey. Prey that had teeth. The Resolute tore across the void like a comet on fire, its wake a storm of distorted gravimetric signatures designed to confuse any pursuer. The anomaly followed, its jagged, half-real body shifting in ways that mocked physics. Where it passed, the stars themselves seemed to flicker out, as if its presence drained light from the universe. On the bridge, tension buzzed through the air like static. Every console hummed, every crew member locked in a rhythm of fear and focus. Kyra's voice was low but sharp. "It's closing the gap, fast." Aric leaned forward in his chair, eyes narrowed at the swirling monstrosity gaining on them. "Good. Keep feeding it breadcrumbs. Launch the decoys." Juno's hands trembled slightly as she executed the command. A cluster of drones shot from the Resolute's belly, scattering in different trajectories. Each one emitted the warship's power signature, multiplied and distorted, creating a ghost fleet across the void. For a moment, the anomaly hesitated, its attention flickering between the false echoes. Then, with sudden violence, one of its jagged limbs lashed out, tearing 3 drones into ribbons of molten debris. The others scattered, drawing pieces of the creature away, but its main body still hunted the Resolute. Darius' voice barked through comms, "Captain, you're playing dice with a collapsing star. We can't outrun this thing forever." "Who said anything about outrunning it?" Aric replied. "We're going to make it bleed." The bridge went still. No one had ever suggested the creature could be hurt. Kyra turned toward him, incredulous. "Sir, with what? We've all seen the footage. Energy weapons, plasma, antimatter. They don't even scratch it." Aric's grin was thin, dangerous. "That's because everyone else fought by the rules. They wanted to use their shiny toys. Us, we've got something uglier." He keyed a command. On the weapons console, a row of blinking icons activated. Kyra's eyes widened. "You didn't?" "Oh, I did," Aric said. Deep in the ship's belly, experimental payloads armed themselves. Crude, unstable warheads, human engineering at its most desperate. High-yield gravitic mines stitched together from black market schematics. Electromagnetic warheads designed to scramble dimensional stability. And something worse, a warhead whose detonation sequence wasn't entirely understood, even by the crew. Aric's philosophy was simple: if no one knew how it worked, maybe neither would the monster. "Deploy on my mark," Aric ordered. The Resolute banked hard, its unstable engines screaming in protest. The anomaly surged closer, jagged limbs lashing out like spears of darkness. One scraped the ship's rear shielding, tearing sparks across the hull. The impact rocked the crew, Alarms wailing. "Shields down to 60%, Juno shouted. Aric slammed his fist against the armrest. "Hold her steady, Darius. Give me everything the cores have. You'll blow the conduits. Then weld them shut afterward." The Resolute skimmed past an asteroid field, weaving between rocks at impossible speeds. The anomaly followed, smashing boulders apart with limbs the size of battleships. Chunks of stone shattered into glittering dust clouds, masking sensors, buying precious seconds. "Mark," Aric roared. Kyra slammed her hand down. Mines and warheads jettisoned behind them, glowing faintly as they armed. A moment later, the void erupted. The detonation wasn't fire, it was distortion. Space itself rippled, folding inward, dragging fragments of the anomaly's limbs through unnatural dimensions. The creature screamed, not in sound, but in a vibration that rattled bones and made consoles flicker. The bridge crew gaped. Juno whispered it felt that. For the first time since its rampage began, the anomaly had recoiled. Aric's eyes gleamed. Good, let's hurt it again. But the victory was short-lived. The creature's form shuddered, then stabilized, its jagged edges glowing with renewed fury. It accelerated, impossibly faster than before. Kyra swore, "It's adapting." "Of course it is," Aric muttered. "Predators always do." The Resolute dove again, engines howling. The anomaly lashed out, a limb slicing across the ship's flank. The hull screamed as plating peeled away, atmosphere venting in a flash of white mist. Warning klaxons blared. "Breach on Deck 7, Darius shouted. "We've lost pressure control. Seal it off." Aric barked. "We can't stop now." The creature loomed larger on the display, closing in for the kill. Aric stood, his voice hard as steel. "Listen up, we're not just running anymore. We're going to drag this bastard right into the trap we've set. Everyone strap in. We're about to remind this galaxy why you never underestimate humans." The crew exchanged glances. Fear lingered, but so did something else, fire. For the first time, the anomaly had bled. And humans had a habit of finishing what they started. The Resolute burned like a falling star across the void, every system screaming at the edge of collapse. Its crew fought the ship as much as the enemy, keeping her alive through sheer will and stubborn defiance. Behind them, the anomaly surged, jagged and monstrous, its hunger clawing at reality itself. The trap was simple in concept and insane in execution. Exactly the kind of strategy no other species would dare. Humans had learned long ago that when the universe threw an unstoppable force at you, you didn't block it, you redirected it. And Aric Vale intended to do exactly that. The target loomed ahead, a dead star collapsed centuries ago into a dense neutron sphere. It spun with a murderous gravity well, surrounded by a maelstrom of debris and radiation. Most ships gave such systems a wide berth. Aric, however, saw opportunity. On the bridge, Kyra's face was pale as the neutron star's gravitational readings spiked across her console. "Captain, if we fly into that gravity field, we'll be torn apart." Aric's voice was steady, cold, unshaken. "So will it, if we time this right," Darius bellowed from engineering. "You've gone completely mad. The drives can't hold us in orbit against that pull, let alone with that thing breathing down our necks. Then make them hold," Aric snapped. "We don't need to last forever, just long enough to lure it in." The ship rattled violently as they skimmed the edge of the neutron star's sphere of influence. Space twisted around them, the fabric of reality bent to a knife's edge. Hull plating groaned, shielding screamed. The crew gritted their teeth and held on. The anomaly came after them without hesitation, uncaring of the danger. Its vast limbs reached hungrily, its body pulsing with predatory fury. "Bring weapons online," Aric ordered. Kyra hesitated. "Sir, we barely scratched it before. It doesn't matter. We don't need to destroy it with weapons. We just need to keep it angry enough to follow us deeper. Railguns boomed, missiles streaked, experimental warheads tore holes in spacetime. The creature twisted and convulsed, its scream vibrating through the ship's bones. It lashed out, striking again. A jagged appendage slammed into the Resolute, sending the warship tumbling. Alarms wailed, shields critical. Juno shouted, hull integrity down to 40%. Darius cursed over the comms. I'm holding this reactor together with spit and rage, Captain, and I'm almost out of spit. Aric's knuckles were white on the armrest, but his eyes burned. Hold her together a little longer, just a little longer. They dove deeper into the neutron star's gravity well, engines howling, the anomaly still locked on them. Its hunger blinded it to the danger, just as Aric had hoped, but the pull was growing too strong. The Resolute shook violently, panels sparking, conduits bursting. Kyra's voice broke. Captain, we can't get out. If we go any deeper, there's no escape vector. Aric rose from his chair, his gaze sweeping across the crew. Fear in their eyes, sweat on their faces, yet every one of them still at their post. Humanity's finest, humanity's madness. We're not running anymore. Aric said quietly, prepare the Resolute for a slingshot maneuver. Full power to the drives. Darius exploded over the comms. That'll tear the engines clean off, then we'll do it without engines. Aric looked at his crew, his voice hardening. This isn't just about us. This thing will keep moving until it eats the galaxy. But if we drag it into the neutron star's gravity field and then cut loose, the star will do what our weapons can't. It'll tear the thing apart atom by atom. Silence fell, they all understood. Kyra straightened, her jaw set. You're planning to sling us right along the edge of destruction, praying the monster doesn't realize what's happening. Not praying, Aric said. Calculating, Darius groaned. Goddamn lunatics, all right. I'll push the cores past meltdown. We'll either slingshot around this neutron ball, or we'll go out as the brightest firework humanity ever made. Juno's voice was small but firm. I'll keep the sensors locked, Captain. If we're going out, I want to see it happen. The crew returned to their stations, fear giving way to grim determination. Engage, Aric commanded. The Resolute plunged into the star's deathly embrace. Gravity clawed at her, tearing at her hull, dragging her down. Engines screamed, reactors roared, the whole ship trembling as if in its death throes. Behind them, the anomaly followed, oblivious, locked on its prey. And now, Aric shouted, the engines flared in a single, suicidal burn. The ship slingshotted around the neutron star, skimming the edge of annihilation. Metal shrieked, panels burst, flames licked the bridge. Crew members clung to their stations as the universe bent around them. And then the anomaly surged in after them, too massive to maneuver, too slow to escape. The star's gravity seized it like a vice. Jagged limbs flailed, reality itself twisting in its death throes. Its body convulsed, ripped apart by forces no weapon could match. It screamed a final vibration so deep and terrible that the crew's hearts nearly stopped. Then it was gone, swallowed whole by the star's endless hunger. The Resolute, battered and broken, shot out the other side of the gravity well, tumbling into safer space. Alarms shrieked, hull cracked, fires burned, but she was alive. On the bridge, smoke choked the air. Kyra wiped blood from her forehead and stared at the fading distortion on the display. Did we just do that? Darius coughed over comms, his voice ragged. Engines are fried, half the ship's in ruins, and I think I've lost most of my hair, but yeah, we did it. Juno stared in awe at the sensors. It's gone. The readings are clear. We killed it. The crew broke into ragged cheers, laughter through exhaustion and disbelief. Aric sank into his chair, every muscle trembling with fatigue, but his smile was fierce. No, Juno, we didn't kill it. Humanity did, and now the galaxy will know. When the darkness comes, when everyone else gives up, humans don't bow. We fight, and we win. The words hung in the air, heavy and true. Back in the Galactic Council chambers, alien delegates stared at the report feeds streaming from the Resolute. They had scanned the human warship before with disbelief, laughter, even contempt. Now they watched as that same battered ship limped home, victorious where fleets had fallen. The silence was absolute. One delegate whispered the thought on all their minds. What kind of species looks at the impossible and chooses to spit in its face? And in the quiet they all realized the truth. Humanity was dangerous, humanity was unpredictable, humanity was special. The Resolute drifted into the stars, scarred but unbroken, its crew alive. They had faced the end of everything and proved why humans should never, ever be underestimated. Sparkles, the end.